Whit, it leads me to this, and I need you to talk me off the ledge here.
Oh,
so
no.
the Bills, they've got no Kincaid going into their game against Atlanta. Start off the game, great throw to Josh Palmer. He's got a few big catches, and he gets hurt. The Bills' offense is obviously struggling. Josh isn't seeing the field great. He's under duress. He's missing a lot of his throws low for some reason, which is uncharacteristic for him. So wouldn't you say the strength of this team, besides Josh Allen, is the offensive line and James Cook? The guy only had 6 carries in the first half. So look, this is where I was excited. They come out of the locker room, and they have a statement drive. They got lucky at the end of the first half. Drake London stepped out of bounds on the half-inch line. I know all about half inches. And they get James Cook involved. He's got 5 carries for 37 yards in the first drive. They go right down the field, and they score.
Yep.
And then he only touches the ball 6 more times the rest of the game. What are we doing, Andrew? What are we doing?
Yeah, it's continued to say, I know when we had their game, I made the point too, it's like we talk about all these pieces, and I just don't feel like people talk about James Cook enough. I mean, this offensive line and James Cook, to me, are their X factor. When people say, where is their X receiver? Where is the guy who's like, man, that guy that you're saying, hey, in crunch time, this is who we got to go to. To me, it's James Cook, and I'm finding a million ways to get him the football. I think you even look at like San Francisco and what they do with Christian McCaffrey. I mean, they haven't been able to run the ball well. San Francisco hasn't. So what have they done? They've just made him literally a receiver. Every possible way.
Passing game.
Every possible way they can, they're getting Christian McCaffrey a touch. James Cook is that good to me. Like, I want to see this guy get as many touches as possible every game. I want to I saw them put up, things about Bijan Robinson, and I loved that. It doesn't say carries. It doesn't say receptions. It just says touches. And it's talking about how many times he touches the football for the Atlanta Falcons and how good they've been because of it on offense. To me, that's James Cook. Like, I don't want to see how many carries he's gotten. I want to see how many times he's touch the football. Like, I'm talking handoffs, passes. Like, he should be the focus of how you bring about this offense. And then all those other pieces are second to me, because I think he's got to be the guy that sets the tone. I think of the big moments of the Bills in the playoffs in the years past. I think of the big moments and big games for them. To me, it goes back to not just a Josh Allen crazy play, big runs from James Cook, big possessions where they give the ball to him a lot and they get some momentum and get going offensively, and it opens everything else up for him. He's got to be the focal point of this offense, to me, for them to continue to grow into what they're going to have to be, because the truth is, on the outside, Fitz, I don't think they scare a lot of people. And so I think that you're going to have to lean on James Cook.
My whole thing is, Peyton Manning, famously has said, I never made any adjustments at halftime. We basically had time to go in there and eat oranges and get a drink of water and come back out. But during that game, you could see that Josh wasn't at his best, that the plan that they had wasn't really working. And so, to your point of getting James Cook the ball, look, they have other running backs, Ty Johnson, Ray Davis, that they won in there on third down. But it's like he wasn't on the field for any of the third downs. He wasn't on the field for the fourth down. Like, at some point, you have to adjust. You had to realize during that game, and you did at halftime, we need to get this guy the ball.
Yeah.
They got him the ball. It worked, and then it all just went away. So to your point of finding ways to get him the ball, maybe it wasn't in the run game as that game progressed, but you got to deviate from the plan a little bit and get the ball into his hands. And you could see the frustration that he had on the sideline. I think every Bills fan was feeling that as well. But I just, if we're talking about blueprints here, how do you beat the Bills? Well, the formula is very simple. Don't let them score 30 points on offense. So in the regular season, the last 2 years, they're 15-1 when they score 30 or more. The loss, you and I were both at that game. Do you remember what game that was, Andrew?
What's that?
The Rams game where they lost
44 to 42.
We were in the owner's suite, and Tate wasn't allowed to cheer.
Yeah, I remember just being nervous about your kids cheering. That was my biggest concern. I was going to get kicked out of Kroenke's suite.
When they score 30 or more, they're 15-1 the last 2 years in the regular season. And if you hold them under 30, they're 2-5. So it's super simple formula. That puts a lot on the offense, puts a lot on Josh, but I don't think, they're so banged up on defense right now. I just don't think you're right that their defense scares anybody right now. And for their offense to kind of sputter the last 2 weeks, This is like the panic meter you have for every team. What's it at? Well, Josh Allen's still the quarterback, so I don't know that you could panic right now.
Yeah, I'm not panicking with him as the quarterback, but I do think defensively they've got to kind of find how they're going to slow some teams down, and offensively we got to find more ways to give James Cook the football.
Defenses are starting to be aggressive, especially on first and second down again, and they're starting to blitz. Look at the Bills game. Look at what Atlanta did to them. They didn't sit back. They didn't keep everything in front and die a slow death and pray for stops in the red zone. They came after Josh Allen. And guess what? The Bills had 0 answers.
Yep.
0. He got sacked 4 times, which is the third most he's ever been sacked in his career. They blitzed him on 56% of his dropbacks, which is the highest rate that he's faced since week 8 of 2021. I feel like you with all these stats. And they were absolutely shell-shocked. They had no answers. And they just kept showing Josh on the bench. He had that blank stare, like, what the hell are we supposed to do? But obviously, Atlanta comes into the game off of a bye. They saw something to where they were going to be able to affect Josh and the rhythm of this offense, and they went and they did it. And it made me happy, not because the Bills lost, but because it wasn't a boring brand of defense. They weren't afraid to come after him, and it worked. And it's a copycat league, so guess what? These game plans are going to keep coming at the Bills, and more teams are going to start doing it because they're aggressive and they're putting pressure on these quarterbacks.